everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a highly requested one. I am going to talk a little bit about how do I plan my travels. So the first thing you want to do is to choose a destination, obviously. And for doing this, the most important thing, in my opinion, is to know how much money do you have to spend on this travel. So you really want to define a budget, and basically this budget will define what kind of travel you can make. So you really want to decide if you want to spend more money in the flight because the place you want to travel to, the flights are very expensive, or if you want to spend less money in the flight and go to a more expensive country, then you can put things balanced. And of course, if you will be traveling during 1 month, you will for sure spend more money than if you are traveling 1 week. So you really should think about this, define a budget, and this will help you a lot choosing your place. Another very important thing is what time of the year you are going to travel. I'm sure that you all know that seasons change from country to country, so you should really choose if you want to go to a snowy winter place or if you want to go to a warm sunny place. So after I have my budget and I know what time of the year I want to travel, I then decide 3 of my favorite destinations that I really want to go. And then what I do is I checked on the internet the different flights for these 3 destinations and I compare them. And after all of this, I calculate the expenses I would have between these 3 destinations and I choose the one that is closest to my initial budget. Another thing that is very important when you choose a destination is to make sure that you need a visa or some kind of vaccination. For example, I chose to go to Malaysia this summer, and basically I'm going to make this video about my travel to Malaysia as an example. I knew I didn't need a visa, so I didn't have to worry about that, but I needed a vaccination. And what I did was basically search on the internet what kind of vaccination I would need, and then look for a clinic here in the place where I live that would give me the vaccination I needed. And normally, in general, you should take the vaccination 2 or 3 months before you travel. You should really be careful and do the vaccination because you never know what can happen, and it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so regarding buying the flights, I use momundo.com. Some tips I have for you to find out cheaper flights is that you should fly on working days. You should buy your ticket 5 to 2 months before you travel because then it's cheaper than if you buy it later on. And of course, you really have to choose if you want direct flights. That would be more expensive most of the times. I normally go for the direct flights. First, because I hate flying. I know this is stupid because I'm always traveling, but I really don't like flying. A direct flight doesn't take so long and I don't waste time on airports. And of course, that's always good. The next step is to choose the route of your travels. I had 1 month in Malaysia and that was a lot of time. So I really had to decide where to go, what to do. And although I don't really like to decide every single thing, I like to have my accommodation already booked, at least for most of my travel. Just to feel more safe, because if you go to a place and they're already booked, you have to go to another one and you might end up in a very expensive place or in a very crappy one, and you don't really want that. So what I did was basically I googled about Malaysia, about my destination, and I read a lot of blogs. I also really like a site called Lonely Planet that they give you tips of things to do and where to go, and also TripAdvisor can be very handy. So I basically made this research and then I decide, okay, if here is 3 things I want to do and there is 1 or 2, then I will stay more time in the places I have more things to do. But I think this is obvious. You just have to find a way to make this plan. For this, it's also very important for you to decide how to move inside of the country. I could choose between planes, trains, bus, or renting a car. And since Malaysia is so big and we realized that we would take so long to reach from one place to the other, we decided to take a plane that was a little bit more expensive, but not really, because things in Malaysia are cheap. In that way, we reached the place more quickly and we had more time to go to other places. Of course, traveling by train and by bus, it's a very nice experience, and in some kinds of travels, I would advise you to do that. And I think the main tip I have for you is do not choose the things that everyone else chooses also. Do not go to the touristic places, maybe 2 or 3, it's okay, but also try to go to less touristic places, even though it might sound scary. Explore. It's good to explore. It's the best thing about traveling, so do that. The next step is accommodation. Of course, you have to choose where you are going to sleep, where you are going to stay. And I know a lot of people that book their tickets and just go, and then when they are in the place, then they choose where they want to sleep. But I'm not that kind of person. What I normally do is I choose most of the places I want to stay accommodated in, and I leave maybe 1 week or a little bit more than that where I have nothing planned. So maybe you meet people that tell you about extraordinary places you didn't know about. So it's good to have a part of your travel that is not planned. You have to choose the type of accommodation you want to. And what I like to do is to choose really good hotels where I spend a little bit more money, but I have a lot of comfort and I don't have to worry. And then I choose hostels or bed and breakfasts where I don't spend so much money. To look for hotels, I use booking.com. Normally, I always search by score, so I choose 8+. I also choose by cheapest, and I always read the reviews and the comments. And of course, I always check the location. To hostels, I use Hostel World, and of course, I also check Airbnb, but I don't really use it a lot. Next thing is the luggage. So you should really choose what kind of luggage you will take. It's one of the most important things, because when you are traveling, you don't really want to worry about your luggage. Is it going to be stuck in the airport? Will it be super heavy and I will have to carry it? In my travel to Malaysia, everyone told me that I should take a backpack. I was staying 1 month, so it would be a very heavy backpack and it would be so warm and I would just be sweating all the time. So I took a normal luggage, one of the small ones that you can take with you in the plane. That way I'm not worried about losing stuff that I have in my luggage. I have the luggage always with me and it was not that difficult to carry the luggage around. What to pack in your luggage? First of all, it depends of course to where you are traveling to. I was traveling to Malaysia, it was warm, it was sunny, so I needed my summer essentials like a towel and a hat. The towel, I bought this really thin towels. When I fold it, it gets so tiny. Then of course you have your traveling saviors, as I like to call them. For me, it was, for example, the insect repellent. I was attacked by mosquitoes anyway, so imagine if I didn't have my insect repellent. Since I knew we were probably going to do snorkeling, I also took some of our snorkeling masks and tubes because I had them at home and I didn't want to be paying for using them or renting them, and we used them so much during the trip, so I'm really glad I took them. Of course, you cannot forget about all your important documents, and it's also handy to have a little folder with all the details about your travel. Do not trust only in your phone. I always have an extra, a plan B, a safety guard for my documents. I print them out like the old times and I take the papers with me in a little folder. And then of course the clothes. My tip for you is not to pack a lot of things. What I normally do is I think about all the things that I might do in the travel and I pack things for all of those different occasions, but not a lot of things. things. Of course, when I'm on vacation, I also like to have things like a book, things just for my entertainment. For Malaysia, I took my adult's coloring book with some coloring pens. I know it takes some space on the luggage, but I really think that it's nice to have some things to do at the beach or when you are in the airport waiting, so I had to take it. With the luggage, I also take with me my little backpack where I take my most important things in the backpack. So, for example, my documents, my camera, my cell phone, and I always take this with me. Of course, you have to be careful not to have it stolen, so that is why I'm telling you to always have it close to you. Okay, so basically when I have everything more or less defined and planned, I organize it all. What I do is a little bit old school, but I really like it. I draw in a paper the calendar with all the days we are going to be traveling, and each day I write the main things. Of course, I don't write it all, I don't plan every day as I said before, but I write the nights we are going to spend in hotels or hostels, what is the name of the hotel, the flights we are having and the time of the flights. Sometimes you are traveling for so long and you get a bit confused and lost, and then you can just open your paper and say, no, in 2 days we are going here, so we still have 2 days. And that for me is a savior. After this, you just start to getting excited about your trip. I normally watch tons of YouTube videos. I can tell you some of my favorite YouTubers that make traveling videos. I really like Brad and Haley Divine, Mike and Jay Explore, Story Travelers, it's very good also. I will leave in the description box all the links to these channels I just said. And that was it. I feel like I am talking for like 3 hours now. I probably am. If you managed to reach the end of this video, thank you so much. If you have some tips that you learn from your travels, leave it down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week with another video. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye!